I'll try to keep this brief, but in the spirit of transparency, I need to say a few words here. As many of you know, I've led the charge on sponsoring this fiscally responsible legislation several months ago, and also again here today. I forewarned this council and our residents about these ramifications months ago, but council fell short on repealing these two resolutions, leaving Talbot County in a very risky and vulnerable position. Some recent history. The letter Talbot County received from the Department of Transportation dated April 24th, 2025 is indeed a public letter and can easily be found online by anyone wishing to read it by Googling Department of Transportation follow the law letter. It will indeed be the first thing that pops up. Containing that 4-page letter is verbiage that clearly defines the Constitution, law, and binding Supreme Court precedents set around that law, most of which I've already clearly articulated in my past comments when I presented to this council and our residents months ago. We now find ourselves in a position today where Talbot County has been called to the carpet. $46.8 million worth of federally funded airport modernization dollars are at imminent risk, not only in the form of current and future funding, but also in the form of clawbacks, funds that have been already spent. If we do not repeal these two 2020 resolutions by passing today's resolution, our airport cannot pursue their next round of funding, as doing so would only exacerbate the extreme financial, legal, and economic risk that Talbot County is already in. If I'm being completely honest, I have to share that this is very frustrating that we even need to be discussing this again here today. It should have been dealt with months ago. This matter has been highly politicized and turned into something that it simply is not. To be clear yet again, today's action is fiscal in nature, and such legislation shouldn't be met with politicization, hate, judgment, and mistreatment that I know I personally endured, first go around from members of our community, and as of today, it's bubbling up yet again from some members in our community who either don't understand what this is or simply don't care about the financial well-being of others in the same community. The irony behind those who can treat others like that and then in the same breath claim to support diversity, equity, and inclusion is beyond belief. Moving forward, it's time we all face reality and begin to act and operate within the law. Every Talbot County citizen has their rights and freedoms under actual law. Two Talbot County resolutions do not increase your rights and freedoms under the law. They only hurt your wallets. It's time that we keep this fiscal, take action, act civil, and just treat others respectfully. Folks, disagreement and disrespect are two different things. Don't conflate the two. In closing, I'd like to end by thanking Councilman Lesher for working through the final draft of this resolution with me, and I urge all of council to join me in a yes vote today to repeal these two resolutions so we can move on to other pressing county matters on behalf of our citizens. Back to you, Mr. President.
Well, this is a difficult issue for me, and I am going to disappoint some and surprise others in this room and outside. The challenge here is that we have a vindictive and maleficent federal administration that is seeking to root out DEI policies on the erroneous presumption that they are discriminatory in a reverse sense. Of course, the county has no such discriminatory policy, and we fully comply with all federal and state civil rights. The risk is that some incompetent political appointee will read only the title of our statement, misconstrue it as an illegal policy, and deny a federal grant on that basis. In an event like that, even if we win on appeal, it could leave us in a state of construction limbo for an unacceptably long time. We simply need to ensure that we are using none of the language that could trigger some snowflake in Washington. Is this self-censorship? Yes. Is it distasteful? Yes. But does it change one letter of county employment policy? Absolutely not. With or without this statement, we will continue to seek to attract and retain a diverse workforce, treat them equitably in hiring, promotion, training, and all other employment matters, and ensure that they continue to feel welcome, respected, and included. I would like to request from the dais that staff draft a replacement welcoming statement for the employee handbook that will set the tone for an expectation of respect and fairness in all of our employment practices.
I'd like to concur with Councilman Lesher. I never read these two prior resolutions as being within the meaning of what everybody considers to be the DEI policy. I think our government always had been a merit-based operation. My hesitation is that by enacting this, are we admitting that that's what it said? Because I would object to that, but taking the bigger picture, I have to concur with Mr. Lesher.
Okay.
So I just have a question for Mr. Thomas at this time. So, and I want to thank Ms. Wilcoxon at the last meeting. She asked if we had a opinion letter, and she was 100% on target with that. So thank you for that. We do now have an opinion letter. My question is, in the letter, you reference that the U.S. Department of Transportation FY 2025 Airport Infrastructure Grant Agreement requires the applicant to certify that it does not operate any programs promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and you go on with that. So in our packet, as you reference this in your opinion letter, I don't have a copy of that grant agreement. So do we have something that specifies that this grant agreement, that there is a box that has to be checked for DEI, is my question.
Yes, that is in the application that Mr. Risher provided. That was actually what, that and the letter from the Secretary of Transportation is what prompted this discussion.
So I don't have that. Did any other council member get a copy of that grant agreement? Because I didn't have that in my packet. I had the letter, but I do not have any grant agreement as referenced in your opinion letter.
So we can get that for council. It's in the grant application, the details of the grant application with the airport. We can get that for you.
Okay, I just wanted to know where that was because I didn't see a copy of it. And then also, you stated in your opinion letter that you do not believe the DEI statement is discriminatory, nor do you believe that the U.S. Supreme Court opinion basically has merit in that. Is that still your opinion and what you believe as regards to this?
I do not believe that the statement is discriminatory, and I do not believe that the Supreme Court opinion referenced in the Secretary of Transportation's letter applies to that statement because, as Ms. Milkey just said, the county is and has been a merit-based employer, and that's nothing in that statement has anything to do with that. But nonetheless, it's called what it's called, and I'll leave it at that.
And then last question, thank you for that. Does the airport specifically have any programs that promote DEI, or are we just focusing on the DEI statement?
The airport does not. It applies, it's part of the county's rules and regulations.
Okay. But the airport specifically, Mr. Stamp, does not have DEI policies or initiatives or programs?
It does not.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
I really appreciate Dave and Pete working on, you've worked several weeks on trying to get this to the finish line, and you've done a great job trying to get there. I know it's been tough on council. I know we all have our own beliefs one way or the other with the DEI stuff, but at this time I think we've made the right decision and the right statement. So being that said, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next on the agenda.